welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome to you for the first time. This video is my monthly What I Read video, and today we're doing What I Read in January. It's the 11th of February today, so I've tried to make sure I got this video recorded while things were still a bit fresh in my mind, so that I could remember what I read and what I thought of it. So we're going to start with this one, which will be no surprise to those of you who've watched my previous videos, because this is the last one of the series that I have been reading over the last couple of months. So this is Maybe by Maurice Gleitzman, and it is the final book in the 6-part series that began with Once, which is the story of Felix, a young boy trying to survive during the occupation of, I'm going to say Austria. You'd think I'd know by now. I've read all 6 books. I think it's Austria, during the occupation of Austria and the Second World War, when it was occupied by the Nazis. So this is the final book, as I said, in this series. This is the book in which Felix's story, it doesn't come to an end, because actually the second book in the series, which was Then, tells us part of Felix's story in later life. But this is the book in which the war comes to an end and his war experiences begin to end. So it was just as hard-hitting as the other books had been previously. There were just as many shock moments. As I've said before, if you've watched these videos before, you'll know these were written for children. Maurice Gleitzman writes for children, and although they are very simplistic, they do not shy away from the hard-hitting points of what happens to Felix. There's some quite graphic bits in these books. And if you are going to read them with your children, it might be an idea if you make a habit of reading a few pages ahead so that you know what's coming before you launch it at a young child. I certainly don't think that they're suitable for people maybe under the age of about 9 at the best. I will just say, though, that poor old Felix, even when he gets to the point where his story should be just about ready to have a happy ending, there's still another twist for him. So thoroughly enjoyed them. The set is available from Amazon. I have linked them in previous videos, but I'll link them again below. The set is available for Amazon for around about £13, I think it is. And these are definitely high on my recommend list. Also this month, but on my Kindle, here's my Kindle, look, proof. I read Whatever Happened to Margot, which is an autobiography by Margaret Dowell. So some of you may have watched the BBC series The Dowells. It ran for three seasons. Americans call it seasons. It ran for 3 series over recent years, and it tells the story of the Dowell family who moved to Corfu for a few years before the Second World War broke out. They came back when war broke out. So they are the family of Gerald Dowell, who became a famous naturalist, and he wrote the books My Family and Other Animals and the sequels to those. And the Dowells were a really interesting family. So the oldest son, Larry, became a famous writer. The second son, Leslie, also an interesting chap. I don't think he became particularly famous for anything, but a very interesting chap. Obviously, Gerald became a famous naturalist, and then Margot was the daughter of the family. She was portrayed in the series as being quite ditzy, but very likeable. And so I was interested to know more about her story after the books and the series ended. So the book that I've just read, the autobiography Whatever Happened to Margot, is by Margaret Dowell, and it tells what she did after the war. She got married, she divorced her husband, she had 2 sons, and she opened a lodging house, a boarding house, for long-term tenants, not a kind of a bed and breakfast for short-term stays, but for long-term tenants. And she managed to collect a very eclectic mix of tenants in her boarding house. It was funded in part by her great aunt, who envisaged a select boarding house kept by a very select landlady, and it would only have tenants of a certain class and status. And it didn't pan out that way at all. Margot had a very interesting life as a landlady. And I would really recommend this book, actually. It's very well written. It's very humorous in parts. If you've read the Dowells, the previous Dowells books, the ones by Gerald Dowell, then it'd be interesting for you to see how Margot gets on. I like a bit of autobiography, and I found this one really, yeah, I don't know why I keep look at my Kindle as though it might pop back out at me. I found this one really enjoyable. I've read it before. This is the second time I've read it, and I would definitely recommend it. I will put links below to as many of these books as I can find on Amazon, by the way. All of them, if I can find them. Okay, what else did I read? What else did I read in January? I read another Arthur Ransom book. I read The Big Six. So as you know, I've been rereading the Swallows and Amazons series over the last few months. I'm pretty much almost done now. I've probably got maybe 3 or 4 left to go at the most. This one features only Dick and Dorothea Callum. It doesn't feature the main Swallows and Amazons group. It doesn't feature the Walkers or Peggy and Nancy. It features Dick and Dorothea, but it also features 4 members of the Coot Club who appear in another book, funnily enough, called Coot Club. In this book, 3 young lads are falsely accused of setting a series of boats adrift and basically making a menace of themselves on the Norfolk Broads. And it is up to them and to Dick and Dorothea to clear their name. And it's just a classic, good old-fashioned kids' adventure, you know, bit of detective work, nothing too scary, nobody's in any danger, but it's very well written, again, very humorous in places, and I thoroughly enjoy rereading my Arthur Ransoms. Again, I'll link it below if I can. Another one in a series is this one. This is Murder on a Midsummer Night. This is another Kerry Greenwood book, which features Phryne Fisher. Obviously, the Phryne Fisher series has been adapted into the Miss Fisher Murders. Miss Fisher? I think they're called the Miss Fisher Murders. Miss Fisher Investigates? I'm beginning to doubt myself now. Anyway, they were adapted into a television series. In this one, Phryne Fisher finds herself investigating the alleged suicide of a man whose mother says there's absolutely no way he killed himself, and also trying to establish the whereabouts of a lost illegitimate child who could be the heir to an old woman's complete fortune. So well written as always. This one's a nice thick one. The Phryne Fisher ones have got gradually thicker over time, but I think we're getting to the end of the series. I don't think Kerry Greenwood's written any for a few years, so I'm going to run out of Phryne Fisher books to read soon. So I shall be sorry when they're done. It's been quite a murderous month for me. As you know, I like a bit of crime fiction. And one of the other ones that I've read this month was the Sussex Down Murders by John Bude. This is another one that's in the British Library Crime Classics series that have these striking spines. This one tells the story of John and William Rother, who lived together at Chalklands Farm on the beautiful Sussex Downs. Their peaceful rural life is shattered when John Rother disappears and his abandoned car is found. Has he been kidnapped? Or is his disappearance more sinister, connected, perhaps, to his growing rather too friendly with his brother's wife? I spotted the ending really early on. I was so proud of me. I was so chuffed with me. There was a little bit of a side swipe that nearly sent me flying. I thought, well, perhaps I'm not right after all. But I was right all along. I spotted the plot in this one. That didn't ruin it for me. If anything, that was nicer because I felt made me feel really clever. But yeah, definitely a classic and worth reading if you like a little bit of gentle crime. There are 2 dead bodies in this one, but there's still not very much gore. As you know, I don't like gore. I am continuing exploring Nio Marsh. This one I picked up in a supermarket, on one of those, you know, charity bookstores in a supermarket. This is False Scent, and this is Nio Marsh's 21st book. So last month, the one that I read was the very first one in which we met her protagonist for the first time. By the time we read this one, he's very much well established and he knows what he's doing now. It was easy to spot from the very beginning who was going to be dead. One of the things you can always rely on with classic crime fiction is that the person who dies is not going to be missed very much. They're nearly always someone who's been rather unpleasant to some people earlier on in the book or whatever. So we spotted the corpse quite early in this one. She was very unpleasant. I was like, she'll be dead soon. She won't last much longer. But I didn't spot the murderer. I thought I had. There was a very clever red herring that got me, and I didn't spot the murderer until probably about half a page before the detective revealed it, which is when you're supposed to spot it. So yeah, very much enjoyed that one. This one is set in the glittering world of the theatre. But yeah, very much enjoyed that one and would recommend that. And then I also read, in January, Miss Seaton Sings by Helen Carvick. The Miss Seaton stories are written by 3 different authors. So they began by Helen Carvick, and then they are continued by Hamilton Crane and somebody else whose name I forget. So basically there have been 3 authors. There have been 3 authors of the Miss Seaton books. They've all continued with the initials HC to give you a bit of continuity. But Miss Seaton, I don't know if I've covered these in previous videos. Miss Seaton is a hilarious kind of anti-hero. Every crime she solves, she has absolutely no idea that it's even happened. She blunders through. She thinks the best of everyone. She would never assume that anyone is a murderer because everybody's far too nice for that. And people don't behave like that. He's such a nice man, he wouldn't kill anyone. And yet she manages to solve every crime. And at the end of it, she's still not even aware that she has solved a crime. She's quite often still not aware that a real crime has taken place at all. This one didn't fail to entertain. Miss Seaton ends up abroad in this one. She's not in the habit of going abroad. She likes her little cottage in Plummerton where she feels safe and secure. But she goes abroad as requested, finds herself embroiled in all kinds of spy rings and smuggling rings and goodness knows what else. Doesn't notice that she's embroiled in these. Various attempts are made on her life. She doesn't notice those either. Other people manage to defend her and protect her. Everyone assumes that the blundering persona is just that, a persona that she's putting on. It's not, it's her real self. And all of the people around her assume that she's far sharper than she lets on and that she's deliberately behaving this way, but she isn't. She genuinely has no idea what's going on around her half the time. So these are extremely funny and definitely worth reading. And there's quite a lot of them. I think there's oh, hang on. There's at least 24 in the back of this one alone. So they are light-hearted crime fiction. There's quite a lot of crime in them, but the humour comes from the fact that Miss Seaton has no idea it's going on. So again, I would recommend those if you like a bit of light-hearted crime. Finally, the last one in my What I Read in January was sent to me by a very lovely YouTube viewer called Tess, and she sent me What I Lick Before Your Face, which is and other haikus by dogs. These are fantastic. A haiku for those who have forgotten what they learnt at school, as I had, and had to refresh my memory. A haiku is a Japanese poem of 17 syllables in 3 lines of 5, 7, and 5. So we have things like playing. I do not believe that your fixation with my playing dead is fine. Chair. We should have a talk about the chair. No biggie. I'm fine with sharing. Selfish. Hey, would it kill you every once in a while to lick my face back? There's some cracking photographs of dogs here. Some absolutely beautiful photographs. It's written obviously by dogs, but it's been collected by Jamie Coleman. And his little bio bit says, Jamie Coleman has been looking deeply into the eyes of dogs for many years. He works in publishing and lives in South London with his wife's son and a lurcher called Scout. This is his first collection of poetry. So there he is, look, giving loves to his dog, or getting loves from his dog, whichever way you want to look at it. They have matching beards, Jamie and his dog. I think that was quite nice. This one is Buddy to a T. It's called A Winter Morning. That face is very Buddy, and it says, I have come to think that neither of us enjoys these walks. Shall we stop? That's Buddy. He wants to go out, and then when he gets there, he wishes he hadn't. It's a fabulous book. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much to Tess for sending it to me. This one's called Crayons. Oh, kind tiny one, who fed me the coloured sticks. Now I poop rainbows. I love it. Thank you, Tess, for sending it to me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I will probably enjoy it many, many times again in the future. And I think that's about it for what I read in January. I don't know if I read slightly less in January than I did in December. I can't remember how many books were in the December one. I'm doing well for February. I've got 3 under my belt for February already. So there will be another one next month. I'm still reading. Thank you for watching these. I hope you enjoy them. Do leave a comment below. As I said, I'll link to all of these books on Amazon so that if you're intrigued by anything, you can go and have a look. Do leave a comment below and let me think let me know if you've read anything that I've read here, and if you did, what you thought of it. And if there's anything that you can see that you think I might like, then do by all means leave me a recommendation. And remember to like this video, because every interaction helps with the channel. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and hit the notifications bell if you want to be notified when I upload a new video. And all that's left for me to say is take care, keep reading, and I will see you next month with another one of these. Take care now. Bye bye.